Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So this is the second of 2 videos I'm doing for Thrillerathon, where I talk about my 5 favourite thrillers of the year so far and 5 least favourite thrillers of the year so far. So if you haven't seen my first video, I'll link it down below. I've read about 40 to 50 thrillers this year so far, and I talked about some of my favourites, and now sadly I have to talk about some of my least favourites. I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, but I've made blog posts for almost all of these where I rant about why I disliked them. So I'll link them all down below. They are spoiler free. Some have spoilers, but the spoilers are hidden or marked, so you cannot be accidentally spoiled. So you don't have to worry. I'm not gonna ruin these, even though I think they're terrible. Also, most of these are arcs that I received, and I feel so bad about that. It's my fault for requesting them. I do need to be better about requesting thriller arcs, but they sound so good and then they just disappoint me. So I do feel really bad about that, and I do not enjoy trashing arcs that I was kindly given by publishers. So that's just my little disclaimer. And like the favourite thriller list as well, these aren't really in any order. I think I disliked most of them about the same, and they all got about a 2 or a 2.5 star rating. So none of these got 1 stars. One of them is a DNF, which I'll explain when I get to it, but yeah, so they're not like that's just kind of, again, another disclaimer, I guess. So the first one is The Pupil by Dawn Goodwin. This mainly annoyed me because it's not about what it says it's about. So what it says it's about is this woman who what it says it's about is this wife of this publisher, and he takes on a student, and the student is someone that his wife knows from the past, and there's something like ominous and thrillery surrounding that. It makes it sound like it's the story of this famous author's wife watching her husband get close to this student who knows something about her past, and she wants to get involved before the secrets about her past get revealed. That's what the blurb says, and that's why I requested it. But what it actually is, it's about the student, it's told from her point of view, and the whole story just doesn't really make any sense because of it. It's just weirdly told. It focuses on the wrong characters, and it just doesn't promise the kind of thriller that the blurb, it doesn't deliver the kind of thriller that the blurb promises, which made me really sad. It doesn't have the tense play off between the wife and the student. And also I remember what the blurb gives away about 80% of the book, I'm pretty sure, if you read the proper blurb, and those events don't happen until right near the end, so you're not surprised by anything because you already know what's going on because the blurb tells you, which is just really bad form for a thriller. The next one is The Stranger Inside by Laura Benedict. This is about a woman who comes back from holiday, I think, and she finds out that someone has moved into her house and her signature's been faked on this form, giving away her house. So someone else is living in her house and the police say there's nothing they can do. This one annoyed me because the main character is a moron, and it's a perfect example of a plot fueled by stupidity. So very early on, like chapter 3 or 4, she finds a way to get that person out of her house, and she just doesn't do it because she wants to know why this person has decided to live in her house. And from that point on, it's just her making terrible decisions to keep the story going, and it made it really hard for her to root for her, and it was just a mess. It wasn't very good at all. I hate it when the author feels the need to rely on their characters being stupid to propel the plot forward. Like, there should be better ways of doing it than that. Next worst thriller of the year. I debated about whether I should include it or not, but I wanted to be honest and include it, and that is The Girl Who Lied by Sue Fortin. This isn't a thriller, which is why I was like, should I include it, should I not? It is marketed as a thriller. I mean, if you look at that cover, it's quite a thrillery cover, and I've already forgotten the plot of this one. I only read it maybe 2 months ago. It's really bad. This is the only one that's not an arc though, so I don't have to feel as guilty about trashing it. This is about a woman. I think she goes back to her childhood town, and I know there's some kind of falling out with another woman who used to be her best friend, and there's something, I think someone's murdered, maybe. But if you read the description, which I will link down below, I'll link the Goodreads page, the description makes it sound like this really intense thriller, but when you read it, it's actually kind of like a domestic, not even really a suspense book, but like, it's just a contemporary. And because it's it has such low ratings on Goodreads because it's marketed as a thriller, and the people who are picking it up are getting really bored by it because it's not the type of story they were promised. So I did read this. I skim read maybe the middle third of it. So it was, I think I classed it as a DNF technically, but I read most of it as per usual with my DNFs. So it's actually not a thriller, but it was really bad, and I thought it deserved a place on this list because the reason I disliked it is because it wasn't the type of book that was promised. Next book is The Honeymoon by Rona Hall-Saul. This is about a woman who marries a man, and on the way to their honeymoon he reveals that he's changed the location of their honeymoon and hasn't told her. And then when they arrive at this place, it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful house, but she realises that he is keeping her prisoner there, and maybe she didn't marry who she thought she married. This again suffers from idiotic characters. The main character just doesn't act like a real person. She doesn't react to anything horrible in her life, and it's so frustrating because it's not even done in an abuse victim way. So I know that abuse victims will justify the actions of their abusers, and there's a common pattern where they won't leave their abusers, and like, I studied psychology, I'm quite familiar with that. But this book isn't written like that. It's just written as the main character just not caring about anything. At one point she, like, her whole life has been destroyed by this man, and she just goes, I'll sort it out in the morning. And I'm like, that's not how people would act, ever. And also she married this guy after like 2 months, and it's just so hard to feel sympathetic for her, not because she married him so quickly, but because she acts so stupid that, again, she just brings it all on herself. And the ending was just baffling. In the last 20 pages it skips like 8 years and weird stuff happens, and it's a mess. It's really awful. And the final book on this list is The Doctor by Elisa Stone, the most recent one that I read, and this I counted as a DNF. I read the first 12 chapters and the last 5 chapters, and I really didn't miss anything in between. This is, again, the blurb is misleading. It says it's about a woman who lives next door to a doctor, and she's not sure if the doctor is doing something shady or not. What the book actually is you know from the start that the doctor is evil, because you get chapters from his point of view telling you how evil he is and how he likes to like kick puppies, and just everything he does is so cartoonishly evil that it's just not good writing. And then like nothing really happens, and like I said, I skipped to the end of the book and I read the last 5 chapters, and nothing had happened in between chapter 12 and chapter 40 or something that I couldn't infer. Like, it was just like I hadn't really skipped any of the book. Stuff had happened, but it was very connect the dots kind of stuff. So it doesn't even have any good twists, apart from one at the very end, which is like the most obvious twist ever. So yeah, so those are 5 of the worst thrillers I've read this year so far. I'm really sorry again for trashing arcs. I don't want to do it. I want to love my arcs. I want to be able to give glowing reviews, but I have to be honest, and I wanted to do the counter video to the positive one. So yeah, Let me know what some of the worst thrillers are that you've read this year. Let me know if you've read these. If you have enjoyed them, by the way, I would like to know. I always say that I'm interested in knowing why people enjoy the things that I don't enjoy, and I'm not the type of person who's going to hate you for liking any of these. I just kind of want to understand your thought process. So don't be afraid if you did enjoy any of these. Hope Thrillerathon is going well for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me out massively. And I hope to see you next time.